Yeah, good luck. Do not agitate your martinis. It does not go well. Hi, everyone. I'm delighted to be here with you. This is the title slide, not to say that that introduction wasn't great, but to remind you of my context. And that is that I am a professor at Dalhousie University, so I'm probably not going to be able to stop myself from A, trying to teach you a little something, and B, trying to share a little bit of research. I'm going to try to do this in the most entertaining way possible, but I won't be able to get into methodology, and I won't be able to do rambling personal anecdotes, which I assume you'll regard as a feature and not a bug. My central tenet is that information can help us understand people and community, and that understanding people and community is the first step to helping people improve their community. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we can pull in from our research and our teaching to try to understand community. The first thing I want to share is that we as people are often information skimmers. We scroll past things very quickly. We love our infinite scrolls in Twitter because we can see I'll just keep scrolling forever and ever and ever and ever and procrastinate for as long as we have the time to do so. Every now and then our lower mandible will drop into the water and we'll snap up some tasty morsel, but most of the time we are information skimmers. We are sometimes information dabblers. Swans dabble and they stay on the surface, but their head just kind of goes under the water a little bit and they're looking for a little more detail, and that's something that we do periodically. We call it research. Really, it means we read 3 Wikipedia articles in order to better inform ourselves about something that we care a little bit about. Finally, we are very rarely information divers. Emperor penguins can dive up to 1,400 feet under the water. There's that teaching moment for you. We dive to get information that we want to know more about. And this happens not very often, but when it does, we want resources, we want facts, we want hard, cold information that we can use to better inform ourselves about an issue. Curation, wait for it, you'll figure it out. Curation is the idea of selecting from a set of things, the things that we choose to show or care about. And information is curated, and the most common place you see information curated is social networks. It is our groups of friends that decide what we see on social networks, and a lot of the times those groups are like-minded people. What we lose is serendipity. Serendipity is the idea that when you're looking for something, like Waldo, you will sometimes see something else that is interesting. There's lots of interesting stuff going on there, but we're very focused on our task. But every now and then, we'll see the guy getting pickpocketed and say, hey, that's really neat. We lose that serendipity when our information is curated. This is work done by 4 MLIS students at Dalhousie. They did a quick Twitter analysis of people tweeting with political leaders in Canada. These 3 parties, when run in a clustering algorithm, are almost completely separate. They do not communicate amongst themselves or amongst each other. They are talking only with their own community. The next slide shows the Liberals and Conservatives, done in purple, because red, blue. And when you look at this, they actually are clustered together. But if you look at the tweets, they are more along the lines of, you're stupid, no, your face is stupid, than dialogue. But it's a start. They're at least talking, and when they're sharing information, there is the possibility of serendipity to say, hey, that's something I wasn't looking to know, but maybe now I do know it. One of the things that we can do to help information divers is when there's a news story, like the NDP partisan mailings, and you look at all these news stories, if you want to get at the heart of the matter, what did they mail out, you can't find it. It's very difficult to find that information, or at least it was at the time. It's a little easier now. I would suggest that we start, when we're posting articles, putting the original document side by side, so you can look at the 2 of them and say, is this partisan or is this not partisan? I might come up with a different answer than you do, but we at least have the information in hand. This isn't a magic bullet. Reading the Balfour Declaration isn't going to help me understand Israel-Palestine any better. But in cases like this, having the facts at hand can be enormously helpful. And why I think that's important is because inform is a prerequisite for reform. And first of all, for deciding if reform is necessary, but second of all, for actually understanding what needs to happen. It's how you turn rhetoric into fact. It's how you turn a deeply held belief into a widely held understanding. One of the things that help us get to this point is open data and open information. There's a lot you can say about how we engage with government, but one of the things that helps is when we have open data to get this kind of information that leads to reformation. Open data has to be open, computer-readable format, available, free, and well-documented. This is the expense report for the Nova Scotia Liberal Party from the 2013 election. It is a scanned image in a PDF format posted to the website. Not open data. Very difficult to work with. Now, I've messed with this image to make it somewhat more dramatic, but the point is, from writing a computer program to gather this information, extraordinarily difficult. A better example is something like Open Parliament or Open House NS, done by Springtide, who's hosting tonight, where they take politically relevant open data and put it in a format that is usable, that is accessible, that is available, that is searchable. That's how we take information from the computer-readable open data into the summary of open information that helps us. Here's an example of what you can do. If you look at the three parties with the most funding in Nova Scotia for the 2013 election, you can see that the dark section is private donations from individuals, and the light section is public funding. Parties get a certain amount of money based on how many votes they got in the previous election. But actually, if you take a closer look, the first 75% of every $1,000 of the first 75% of the first $1,000 you donate gets back to the individual as a tax credit. So actually, public is funding a substantial portion of the budgets of these parties. And I'm not saying that's not the way it shouldn't be, but if you look at how this tax credit is calculated, it's based on the individuals who donate. And so this number, it comes up from 112,000 voters who voted for the Liberals, decided that this is how much funding they get. 1,000 Liberal donors were responsible for spending $500,000 of public money. Is this the way it should be? Maybe, I don't know. I've informed. Your question is reform necessary, and what more information do I need to understand this process? My penultimate slide, we look at the federal level. If you look at these fundraising emails from two mostly opposed parties, theoretically, they look almost identical, and they sound the same. There is false urgency of impending fundraising deadlines that don't exist, and they want $5 right now. Only $5. This is all it takes. In any case, this is not the end of my talk. It's the start of our conversation. My tie to the theme together is information is something we find, explore, and share together. This is my contact information because I want you to converse with me about this. If you're passionate about this, if you're interested in this, I teach and do research in this area, let's talk.